Hi guys, welcome to the channel. For anyone new here, I'm Linda, that's Troy, and Desi, well, he's doing what he does best. So a few weeks ago, we did a video where we swapped out our range hood vent cover because it was looking a little faded. Well, in today's video, we're going to be swapping out the rest of the items. Our hope is we can take a few years off this 5-year-old camper.
So those parts and this can of spray paint are what we're going to use to update the camper. Now we're going to show you how we did each one. We started on this side of the camper with the faded patio light.
So we were hoping we could just pop off the old cover and pop on the new cover. But while it fit, it was a little too loose, so we were going to have to replace the whole light. A few screws and the cover came right off. We gently pulled the old wires from inside the camper, took a few pictures of how it was wired, and then disconnected. Now the old one had a foam backing that the new one didn't come with, so we peeled it off the old one to put it on the new one. To rewire the new one, we used some closed-end crimp connectors that we had left over from when we changed the interior lights to dimmable ones. And don't forget, like us, to clean off the old silicone before putting it back up.
Then we moved to this side of the camper and changed out some of the faded water connections.
So the 3 water connections are pretty similar. We started with the cover for our freshwater tank. Next up was to loosen the connections on the hoses.
Alrighty.
Now this again had a foam backing that the new one didn't, so we saved that as well. And this time, we didn't forget to clean up that old silicone. To reinstall, we just did the opposite. Tightened up the clamps on the hoses.
Okay.
And screwed it back in. Now for the city water connection, we did do a bit of an upgrade. The old one was a plastic connector. The new one is brass. And again, we used the rubber backing that was on the old one to put on the new one. Reconnected everything, made sure it was tight, no leaks, and screwed that one back in. We then repeated the exact same procedure with our black tank flush cover. Now this one, because it doesn't get as much use, we didn't upgrade to the brass one.
Next up, we're using this can of spray paint to update some items that were hard to find, difficult to replace, or very expensive. The question is, how well will this work?
So we started with the exterior shower door. Now on this one, we did have a replacement, but we were hoping we wouldn't have to use it. Troy started by applying blue tape all around the door. Then he taped up craft paper and blue taped that down as well. Next step was to clean the door and then wipe it down with some isopropyl alcohol and let it dry. 2 coats of spray paint later, and we were pleased with how it was looking. Now this one we looked for just a replacement cover, but we would have had to buy the electrical outlet and rewire it. So we decided to try the spray paint again. This one came out looking the best of the 3 items. The last item was the docking light switch. Just weren't able to find this one online. And with the quick connect electrical connectors, it was a quick change out.
So we were so happy with the way this turned out, we added one more thing, the magnets on our storage doors. To freshen up the camper even further, we replaced the battery box and a new propane tank cover. We're going to replace the battery box because not only is it faded and the straps are torn and broken. With regards to the propane cover, it's literally falling apart, and we think we found an improved version that'll work better for us.
So we ended up going with the same battery box. We have a lithium battery that eventually is going to get moved inside. This one is relatively inexpensive and for now will serve us fine. To remove the old battery box just meant removing 4 bolts. But there was a problem.
So as often the case with the RVing lifestyle, things don't always go as planned. One of the fasteners that holds the battery box to the frame sheared off. Victory.
Next, we drilled out the holes where the old bolts were.
Get the other side.
So after we drilled out the holes, we attached the straps and then bolted it back down to the frame.
Now we did change the propane cover, and I'm glad. I didn't really care for the one that came with the camper. This one's a lot better. It has access points front and back and allows me to turn propane tanks on and off or change the tank that I'm using without having to take the cover off. One more thing, this one's put together with bolts and nuts, so it's not riveted together. I think it's going to hold up better over the long term. But one last thing, no look is complete without a new pair of shoes.
And lastly, we used some Proflex sealant to seal everything up. Now we chose a black color, but looking back, it might have been a better looking job to go with the clear. And Proflex can be a little difficult to work with, so you may find that masking the area off with some blue tape makes it a little easier. And now that all these items are looking good, we'll make sure to use the 303 protectant from the beginning. And the last thing we did to the camper is give it a good wash. You can check this video out here for details on what products we use and the procedure.
So there you have it. Guys, I'm real happy with the way things turned out. The camper looks fresh. I think we got a nice return on our investment. If you want to see more of what we have going on, please like and subscribe. And as always, Desi loves it when you hit the notification bell. But stay with us. We were lucky enough to catch the Aurora Borealis right here in North Carolina, and we've got some great shots.
What you doing tonight?
Sitting on a beach, eating Doritos, and looking at the Aurora Borealis.